It's the final episode of the Boks Office with the World Cup only a day away. We're going to have a fantastic show, a special edition from Paris. As you can see, the Eiffel Tower behind me. I'm joined by 4 guests, 2 former Springboks, 2 former All Blacks, Schalk, Justin Marshall, Jean de Villiers, and Andrew Mehrtens. The Boks Office is now open. Welcome, boys. Marshy, interesting morning, interesting Sunday lunch. Let's talk about your Sunday lunch first of all. How are you feeling? You had to recover from the train ride this morning, but let's go back a couple of days.
I think Sunday was the best lunch that we've had at a Rugby World Cup in a very long time, and it grew, didn't it? It grew massively, and then all of a sudden, not only former players trying to reminisce about times of the past, current players turned up. The English lads, yeah.
Oh, I got a photo of Jamie George and John Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Saracens Mafia.
Yeah, they were there. Owen Farrell was
Where were you,
there.
Mitt?
Clearly young and naive. They haven't learned to avoid Marshy yet.
Well, I got Owen Farrell early doors on a buffalo. I've actually got video footage of that somewhere, but we won't go into that.
Shimmy, I'm not on tour, mate. I've got family here, so there's sort of family responsibilities in the weekend. I thought we were just going to have an intimate lunch, and I said to Marshy, let's put it back a little bit, and then I saw what it turned into. I thought, thank goodness. Love to see you guys, but I mean, tell you what, it's a long enough week without starting off like that.
JDV, confession time. Let's talk about the guy's ribs who you popped in Toulon. The Scottish guy.
Jeepers, Shimmy, that's like a month ago.
Exactly.
That was start of the World Cup almost.
But he needs an apology.
We've grown since then.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll let you tell the story, but tell the truth.
Give a bit of perspective here. So firstly, we're watching...
Off the back of a long lunch, this
yeah,
was.
off the back of a long lunch. So we meet these, what were 3 or 4...
Glaswegians.
Scots, staying in our hotel. Went to the rugby. So we go for the long lunch. Eventually get back the following day. Eventually get back to the hotel. So now we see these, but we've known them for a day. And I see these Scots speaking to Schalk, and with his back turned to me. So I walk up to him and I give him like a nice bear hug. As I give him a bear hug, I just feel, boop. He's ripped off.
And I'm looking at the bloke.
Was his rib? Yeah.
I'm looking at this bloke. He's got the happiest vibe going. Yeah. Beer in the one hand. Next moment, it just turns to anguish. Can't breathe. He goes.
So yeah, sorry, I can't remember his name.
The vibe back home. Obviously, you guys were here a month ago. Went back. How's it been in South Africa?
It's been amazing. Yeah, Schalk and I only got back in yesterday, so you know, you experience the World Cup here in France, and I think it's been an amazing World Cup. But you know, a lot of time you're not, you don't know what's going on back home. And I mean, every Friday you have Boks Friday. The kids go to school. They're wearing their green shirts. Game day on the weekends. You know, everybody's. You know, the restaurants are empty because they just go. You have a braai. And it's been, you know, it's fascinating to see how our South Africans come together when there's rugby on. And now for this weekend against New Zealand, the biggest and best rivalry ever, people are psyched up. I know Marshy's psyched up there because of other reasons this morning.
I'm sitting so close to Marshy, like he's got this gum guard in, I think. But show me, only the Boks can do that. You know the feeling back home. You stop at the petrol station to fill up your car. Everyone's asking about the Boks, what the team's going to look. You know, you go, you pick up your little groceries, you get stopped 20 times, you go to the till, you pay. Everyone behind the till's got their Boks jumpers on. They know exactly what's going. They're asking what's Rassie going to do with the team on the weekend. Obviously, none of us could predict what's happening in the final weekend again. But the Boks fever is running red hot there. It's incredible.
Marshy, in New Zealand, same stuff? Well,
Yeah, I think the All Blacks and the way that they performed in this Rugby World Cup has been beyond expectations. Like, obviously, you know what we're like. Kiwis, we always back ourselves, slightly arrogant, but there certainly wasn't that feeling leading into this Rugby World Cup. There's a bit of doubt around the side. So the fact that they've performed the way that they have and got to a final, I think has lifted the country big time. And now the fact that it's against the Springboks, you know, the arch enemy, but our history is unbelievable. It's like the dream final, perfect. So New Zealand's been loving it. The only difference for us is obviously, yes, we're on the Bears a lot earlier than you blokes because when we're watching those games, it's on in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. There's no one around by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone's just tapped out.
The problem the boys got in Africa is to time it. You know, it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock in the
9
evening.
o'clock on a Sunday.
And most of the guys got to rewatch it on the Monday or the Sunday. they don't make kickoff.
Mitch, what's your take on selection? I mean, obviously, as a former flower, there's been big debate back home around Pollard versus Lebok. Who do you select? Where do you think? I mean, obviously, Andre has been selected now. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's, Rassie again being innovative and maybe springing something that was a bit unexpected. They've both had plenty to offer. We saw the stability. This is not even against Mani Lebok. This is just, the nature of having a really experienced player come on. And last week when we saw Pollard along with Faf de Klerk come on and just steady the ship for South Africa, they just offered something a little different. So to see Rassie now, maybe that's been his grand plan all along. That wouldn't surprise either. Not that they were fudging before now, but just horses for courses and going in like that. And then he's gone with the 7-1 split again. Most rugby players are pretty superstitious. We know that. Yeah. And the All Blacks, that was the first time, I think, in Twickenham, wasn't it? The 7-1 split. And the Boks, ran rampant over the All Blacks in the second half there. So, maybe that he's trying to play into that psychology a little bit, the superstitious nature as well.
You know what's fascinating for me about just coming back to the flow of debate? Andre Pollard, and you speak about the experience. Like, I watched the interview, man of the match interview, when he got presented the man of the match after the game, and it just seemed as if he was still like in the zone. Like, he didn't smile. He was like still, his answers, everything was like so controlled. It was as if he's still in that moment. And I think you speak about the experience, and obviously you've been there.
He's the best player to come out of Paul, Jim.
Hold on.
They were saying school as
He's nowhere near as wealthy.
Throw it out there now.
He's nowhere near as wealthy, though.
There aren't any Rondebosch players in the team, right?
Look, I was called Clarence Seedorf this morning by a taxi driver. So.
By a blind man.
By a blind man.
He thought I was Clarence Seedorf when he was taking me to the airport.
Also took you to the airport, that's
we had to start a bit later.
Let me just get back to my point. Okay? So I think that's what you want as a fly-off, and that's what you want from your fly-off in a final as well. Just that control, being in the moment. And I think that's what you get from Pollard.
Could I throw a spanner in the works then, considering I played no 10 whatsoever in my life and needed to juice colour, so we always get involved in...
I'd love to stand there at number 10. It was a good gig to
I
go.
don't think
get
anyone
hands
would
on
want
the
to
ball.
play if you were standing in the 10 jersey.
I'll tell you what, I was defending blindside when he was in the team.
Exactly. It's like, let's just give the 10 channel a miss today. We'll hit the wing. Anyway. What happens if Pollard goes off early doors? Who does the goal kicking?
Yeah, we kick to touch.
isn't it?
We kick to touch then.
Yeah, kick to touch, 7-1
Probably
split.
be Faf.
For Cheslin.
But it is a risk, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, Villiers can come on and play 10.
Yeah.
But
Oxen Chair was pretty incredible last week. He might.
It doesn't matter who does it. What's your take on the scrum-half debate? I mean, Kobus versus Faf. You mentioned quite a good point about the kicking, the box kicking with Faf.
he's more accurate, Faf is, and I think that the kicking game at the weekend with the wet conditions, and there's a likelihood it's going to be the same at the weekend. You know, you need to be able to compete. You need to be able to put the opposition under pressure when you do kick. Otherwise, you're giving possession away continually. And when they're being accurate and winning the contest in the air, was simply because their box kicking was shorter, it was more accurate. When Faf come on, I thought that his kicking game was enabling then the Springbok wingers in particular to compete. And I think his game management to a degree, yes, he's not as explosive.
Yeah.
Was
And he's-
Was it a
also not
surprise
so-
taking Mitchell? Or sorry, just to that.
Yeah, that was
Mitchell,
bizarre.
because
Yeah.
he was
having a great game.
He was
real
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
You know, with his kicking game, and it kind of turned also when
You
Danny
know where
King
the
came
Boks
on.
were putting the stuff we were really good at a few seasons ago, and you often see it now when we face the contestable, like we did it earlier at the Mount Smart, is like our escort, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
How we chaperone players back. We stop working before the ball. You got to run to the ball. You can't change line. You can't stop. You can't back into someone, but you can work to the ball. And right from the offset, there was a clip we took out where we stopped working just like 5 meters before, and then you get the one-on-one. And the modern,
So we're losing the game then.
Yeah, and for us, when we kicked on England's, how they worked back towards the ball, and hence, whenever the ball did bounce, they were the guys on the first bounce. So it's something we have to improve because, the All Blacks tend to kick shorter,
Mount Smart,
especially when they play against us.
Tommy, New Zealand selection, any surprise? Expecting any surprises from both you guys, Met?
No, is the easiest answer. What I wonder if we might see is maybe the input of someone like Damien McKenzie a little bit earlier in the game.
Okay.
He's been used pretty sparingly. Apart from the games where he started, just off the bench, he's been used pretty sparingly, and he is still a guy who can break the game open. So depending on the context, these days, obviously, it's a 23-man game, and I think we've got the two teams in the final that do actually have the best 23-man squads. There's a case for Ireland, obviously, still being close to top best in the world with their top 15, but I think this tournament has really tested the depth of teams, and I think we've got the two deepest squads in the final. But I think they're slightly different benches. It wouldn't surprise me if the All Blacks the All Blacks will be preparing as if Rassie might suddenly throw in a trick at the end. You're always warming up with 28 guys maybe. It's not unprecedented to have a guy getting injured and warm up, and the All Blacks go in thinking it's 7-1, and suddenly it turns up might be 1-7. After they do the warm up, which doesn't change when the South Africans anyway. The backs are as big as the bloody forwards.
How about the 8-0? Will we see the 8-0?
When they announced the side, like I thought it was a fake side. So often they leak a side just to sort of, because what happens if, and we saw it in Humbumbela last year, Faf flies around like a mad thing. What if he knocks himself? What if he knocks himself out in the first minute? Cheslin Colby has got to play 9 fuss in a World Cup final for 70 minutes.
Well, Faf tried to do it in the semi. Did you see that when he went and took on Joe Marler?
Joe Marler.
And just got thrown away on the block.
I know,
little match within a match.
He's got like the reverse of body dysmorphia, Faf. I mean, he thinks he's 7'10", weighing 140.
First one since 95, boys. It is a special game this weekend.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant. And the good thing about both sides is there's a lot of guys in both teams that are playing some of the best rugby they've played. And probably quite a few that recognise that this is going to be their last test match or definitely not going to make it next Rugby World Cup. So it's set it up nicely that some of the real key players that we've seen from both nations in the last decade are in good form, but they're also recognising the fact that there's probably not a lot left in the system. So go out and make it a great final. The thing will be the weather. Yeah. Like if it's as bad as that ball was greasy. Like that's why I think the Springboks are gone for that split, and they could go 8. I reckon they could go 8 because Manu Tuolangi never touched the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Like Creel, I think the only time he touched the ball, he'd spilt it.
Yeah.
No offence, Jesse.
Yeah.
Quagga Smith into half back then.
But the game became really insular, and it became a war of attrition.
Yeah.
With not a lot, So you bring on 8 forwards to replace because the game's tight. It's not stupid.
But you only realised how slippery that ball was with Jamie George just chucked it straight up in the air.
Hell of a throw.
Amazing. And he wanted to retake it.
Does it count as a win for Stephen Kitsoff? It's a line-out win. How many props get that?
Everyone was saying, have you ever seen that before? A hooker throwing like that. But I mean, how long did we play with Shimmy? That happened it happened weekly.
I used to call it my loosener. Everyone's allowed to loosener.
Just take him to India with a cricket team with the googlies that he was throwing.
I saw it once with Schalk Brits. We were playing in Canberra, and he had his scrum pad on.
Yeah.
And he hit the back of his scrum pad.
His scrum pad?
What do you call it? What do you call it? The scrum cap.
What's the scrum pad?
The same thing.
Scrum pad.
Sorry, that's Afrikaans. The viewers back home, if you're Afrikaans, you'll relate to me. Chucked it into the back of the thing, bounced in front, bounced back in his hands, and he wanted to have a second go at it. And the referee stopped him mid-second throw.
I've seen Sean Fitzpatrick hit, I think it was Craig Dowd, right in the face with a throw. No, at Ellis Park. Yeah. But guess why? Just as he was about to... this person is a genius. Just as he was about to throw it, there was an oak in the crowd who threw one of those...
Nachis.
Yeah. And Fitzy was going about like this, and the Nachi hit back of the neck. Hit Craig Dowd right in the chin.
That's what Fitzy says. He wouldn't be the first guy to aim at Dowdy's face, though, would he? While we're bagging hookers, what about Phil Kearns? The legendary nickname was Lightning because never struck twice in the same place.
You were like it.
Love you, Kenzie.
But there's some big names retiring after the... I mean, you mentioned Aaron Smith from the All Black side, Aaron Smith, to be Dan Coles, Whitelock.
Richie Mo'onga is going off to Japan.
He'll be back, surely. Surely he'll be back.
He will. And don't call us Shirley.
Yes.
He will be back.
He will be back. He will be back.
Artie's going to Japan.
He'll be back also.
I'm not sure about Sam Whitelock. Obviously, he's done, isn't he?
How about him? He can win 3 World Cups, boys.
Yeah,
That's incredible. I mean,
we're trying to count how many trophies he's won. If you look at Bledisloe Cups.
3 World Cups. I think
Super
that
Rugby.
for me is a standout for the All Black team. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the team yet, but if Whitelock goes 3 World Cups, but also the Barrett brothers, 3 brothers playing in a World Cup final.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty
Incredible.
special.
Yeah. There is about 10 of them, isn't it? How many siblings have they got?
Yeah, we haven't even got the best ones on the field. The best ones, I think, are the 2 girls playing rugby at home, actually.
Oh, really?
Fair.
Yeah, I think there's 7 altogether, I believe.
Sure.
7 of them, yeah.
Gee, Christmas
Proud family.
lunch must be interesting.
He needed a bigger TV, Smiley Barrett, didn't he? But anyway, we'll come to that.
The impact of Joe Schmidt, I mean, the turnaround of the All Blacks. So obviously, was it last year, after Ellis Park, where they changed the management team around? How big has that been, having a guy, Jason Ryan and Joe Schmidt?
It's massive. Can you please answer that? Because I only
Sorry,
I only caught half the question.
You always
taking
got
a
the
swig
ball.
of my beer when he was
Gee,
halfway
was
through the
Moshi.
question.
You always got the ball first. I had to wait to get the ball, so that's why I just naturally defer.
Yeah.
I think certainly Jason Ryan has brought a real finesse to the pack work. You guys would know that better than I would, but I can just say it because that's what everyone's been saying. But he's particularly in the last couple of weeks, the All Blacks pack's been steeled up quite a lot, and with the addition of Frizzell coming back in, which gives you the luxury of having Scott Barrett and Retallick and Whitelock all sort of rotating at lock. You've got Frizzell still at 6. It also helps with the balance of the back row because Sam Cane's been able to get in and do a little bit of the tight work, which he likes as a 7. Artie Saver can play his role in Frizzell. So, but the pack in general has improved a lot in a year, and then of course Schmidt taking a bit more. You know, you always need one of those propeller heads really doing the research on the opposition. And one thing that stood out in the playoffs is the All Blacks researched Ireland really well.
Yeah.
You know, there may not be as much research you can do on South Africa because it's a matter of we know what you're good at and it's pretty much everything and you're very physical. Knowing it's one thing, trying to stop it's another. But I'm sure the All Blacks will have got some things that they want to try and put in place in the game if they can get a little bit of control.
Fatigue has been quite topical this week, saying the Springboks might be tired after 2.
Are you speaking about the players or yourself?
No, the Springboks. The Springboks.
yeah,
I think
okay.
Zinz and Brooks said that.
Yep.
That advantage All Blacks. How much can you read into that? Because of South Africa, the tightness of the games. You know, New Zealand had a blowout against Argentina.
Yeah. Well, look, I won't back down because that's my nature, and I was very critical of the rotation. I feel that just, you know, for a team that was lacking synergy, lacking rhythm, particularly in big test matches when they're getting in, you know, when they're getting into themselves into problems in the game. You know, when you look across, you see the teammate that you've seen, you know, for 5 or 6 games on the bounce. You trust each other. You find a way to win. Pretty much what South Africa did at the weekend against England. Yeah. You know, they still found a way. That's what good sides, world-class sides do. So the rotation, to go back to your question, has probably not helped in that regard, but the team seems to be in pretty good rhythm regardless, but they're super fresh. Like, they haven't been to the well like the Springboks have. The fact that, sorry for the Springboks, they got Tonga when Tonga had been useless.
The one game where they were
and they physicaled up, manned up, to beat Tonga, to beat Scotland, to beat Ireland, England, France, and then if they were able to beat the All Blacks, like, there's no team I don't think historically would ever have had to go down that pathway to win a final. And the All Blacks have played France and Ireland, with the greatest respect to everybody else.
That's a beautiful story you're selling there for us.
Yeah, thanks.
That's what the New Zealanders do.
Well, everyone wants that underdog tag, don't they? Everyone.
They build you up, yeah.
The Boks did look flat against England. You know, it wasn't until the 64th minute where we got some tempo in the lineouts. And that shows to me that they were mentally also quite tired after the French game, because, you know, things that we're really good at, simple is having simple lineouts, simple options, walk in. We saw them basically taking timeouts, little huddle, and we never, even if you from that huddle, you have to have the huddle. If you can't hear, the noise is too great, you create artificial tempo off the back of it, where you sort of walk in and take your tempo options. We didn't get that on the weekend, and execution lacked because of that. Like the amount of entries we had into the 22 without getting the desired results, unlike the Boks, who normally have quite a high conversion rate. So I think we'll be better this week. You know, we had our off week, because somewhere you got to have the week where you can't recapture the energy that you had the week before. And I think that quarterfinal, post that quarterfinal, that was the fallout against England.
It was always going to be tough.
Yeah, I think we're going to be up for this one.
And I think that the other thing is not underestimating England, but just feeling like you could probably get through that game. And the question will be whether it was just a dip, because we've seen South Africa, we've seen the Boks keep that level so high. Even in the loss to Ireland, they were really impressive, and there was nothing in that.
Sure.
And
Could have
as a
won them
game
the
you
last
could
minute, yeah.
conceivably easily have won. So they've kept the standard high. Is this now a fatigue tapering off, or was it just a little dip? More likely the former. For New Zealanders, you sort of hope, well, let's hope it was the start of the rot. But I think from a broader rugby context, you want both teams playing at their best in the final. It could be an absolute belter. Economically, the best final would have been France-Ireland. I think we've got to acknowledge that. But in the absence of either of those two teams, having this match where there's such a rivalry, for the neutral observer, I think that's something special, hopefully, as well.
Is it a problem that there's no Northern Hemisphere teams in this final in terms of World Rugby? Obviously, we've got a vested interest in having us there, but is it an issue for them?
Not for me. I just see it, I just see it as number one and number one and two in the world going at it.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be the teams who's been the most successful in World Cups. Won 3 each. This is the race to get to the fourth one. You feel for the French side not getting through, and you feel for the Irish side being so successful in between World Cups, which becomes a bit of a trend for them, getting knocked out by the All Blacks. But at the end of the day, that's what playoff games do. You've got to find a way to get it over the line. And the Boks have been the epitome of that. The All Blacks finish against Ireland, defending 37 phases with Whitelock and his 120 millionth. So how many test matches has this bloke played? 153. 153, getting the turnover. You deserve that. Same with the Boks. How we held out France in that second half. You deserve to get through those playoffs. So the best two sides at the World Cup is playing in the final.
Are we not labelled as Northern Hemisphere now?
Or someone who wrote that?
The one I said, because we're playing all our rugby in the Northern Hemisphere now, our players are playing mostly in the Northern Hemisphere clubs.
We'll just ignore that.
Are you making a pitch for the English support and the French support? The French love the All Blacks. They'll be behind us.
I saw that somewhere, but it's not where you play. It's where you're from, right? Otherwise, everyone's Northern Hemisphere because you're playing the World Cup in France.
What's Rassie and Jacques saying to the Springboks this week?
Win.
Okay. Great answer. Obviously,
before
he's not going to say lose, is he?
Before I answer that question, I don't think many coaches in World Rugby would have made the calls that they made in that semi-final so early on. Yeah. Being able to take off your fly 30 minutes into a game, taking off some of your most influential and top players 45, 50 minutes into the game. Yeah. Massive call.
Eben,
Sia, Dwayne, obviously then Quibus and Marnie, and all those calls spot on. So they got it right again. So they always they have a plan. We never know what's going on in the background. What are they telling the team this week? They'll just be sticking to those processes. They'll have a plan mapped out for this week. The 7-1 split, whatever in the background might be happening, everybody will be 100% on board for that. And then it's just about the execution. I mean, when that 7-1 split came on for the Twickenham game, I think everybody was blown away. But the way that the team executed it to a T, then it works. It can so easily go the other way as well, and it's massively risky. But I think from a squad point of view, they've bought into this, and hopefully it works for us.
One thing for me, it's start fast. The last 4 games we played against the All Blacks, we conceded 30 points twice. They've smashed us. And off the back of that, that is Ellis Park, and that's Mount Smart. And it's all about the first 15 minutes. That's what the game's about this weekend. And the Boks haven't started well. Quarterfinal, they get a 22 entry. They maul it from 18 meters out, France. The way we started against Ireland with a wraparound, Faf passed it direct into touch, put us under pressure. Even Tonga, missed a kickoff. We got hammered for the first 20, and our defense has been good enough to keep sides from scoring. But we can't allow the All Blacks to go 15-0 up. We'll probably chase them down to come within a score, and they'll score a try, and you lose the game by 10 points. And I feel, providing the conditions are right, this is not going to be the arm wrestle type of game. I think we've got to take the game by the scruff of the neck, create, even though Andre Pollard's playing, create 22 entries, put them under pressure, take them out their comfort zone, because we've seen in the past, if we have to chase against All Blacks, we fall short.
It's not going to be a 15-12 kind of final, eh? It'll probably.
Thanks, mate.
I'm just saying, it's probably going to be
12-15 would be good.
it'll be more
Did it
points
be high
scored.
scoring? Do you think so?
I think so.
You look at how that quarterfinal went. It was furious that first half, wasn't it? That could have continued. It kind of got shut down, but gee, it was a fast and furious start, wasn't it, for both teams?
Yeah, and conditions might play a part, but I think we will see tries this weekend. I think you'll go into the 20s.
I think
So will Jordan to break the record then?
That's a big question. That
Should Brian Abana be nervous?
Brian Abana, it's very
I mean,
nervous.
knowing Brian Abana, he's been nervous this whole World Cup. He's on top of every stat. The one he doesn't tell you is that he's got the most yellow cards for South Africa.
oh,
More than me and Bucky's. Can you believe that? Because you asked that question, everyone goes, no, Schalk, surely you had more. And I said, no, hold on, I had 6, but Brian Abana had 7.
old filthy Habana, eh? Shocker.
You know what it was? This going for intercepts. All of them.
Yeah.
Knockdowns.
These days, deliberate knock on, your favourite.
But tell me, not going with a scrum off, you talk about the risk of a 7-1 split, not having a 9.
Yeah, it's a massive gamble.
Nines aren't that valuable. I mean,
This is best
Champ.
This is a genuine specialist position. This we're talking. I don't know how much Cheslin Colby's played the position recently. Yes, he might have played it, back in the day, but it's just a different tempo. It's just he would have to adjust if things were to go wrong, if Faf went off.
The fitness alone,
Yeah.
isn't it? From a winger who's, having to be used to running 60 to 80 metres, sporadically versus chasing every ruck down.
Yeah.
I had to do it a few times when players inside me got carded at certain stages of their career. And it's grueling. It's a terrible job. I had much more respect. Well, that's not hard to do. I had 0 previously, but had a lot more respect for halfbacks after having to do that. You and Elton Moncrief getting regularly red carded or yellow carded back in the day.
Yeah, so look, I feel that, it's fine because for 10, 15 minutes, it's not so bad. Your lungs will be okay and you'll have good energy. But if there was an incident early in the game and you have to slot in there for 65, 70 minutes.
What about kicking?
different level.
What about, we kick through number 9 predominantly.
Yes, you do.
Now you've got to change kick through 10. You're not going to back, you're not going to back Cheslin to kick it off the base when it's wet, when it's slippery, when
you're saying
it's
kick for touch,
disrupted.
yeah.
So you've got to kick through 10. So your whole kicking plan, then you've got to kick longer. You're not kicking contestables through your 10 in your own 22.
You're more predictable.
Yeah.
But I mean, they would have obviously practiced all the different scenarios with the substitutions because you could even end up with a forward at centre.
It makes you think, like obviously having Villiers on the bench, he covers 10, but what about a guy like Grant Williams? If he was on the bench.
and Cobus right now.
And then if you then run out of options, you move Cheslin to 15. He's played there a lot in his career. So it's a big risk with having Villiers just covering one position.
For me, a 9, and we're joking about it, but the skill set you need to play that position, because you've got so many touches on the ball, you need to get, and you can't really simulate that in training. You need to be able to do that in game time. You're kicking, as we've mentioned, and he's a massive decision maker. It's being able to see the pictures in front of you and then being able to adapt to that.
Picking the right options.
Exactly, all the time.
Yeah,
So
and that's the tough part of it. Yeah.
if that happens, that'll take some massive adjustment.
This chat may be redundant because, like I say, you get through that warm-up on Saturday and you get those whatever changes.
Is there something you know?
He's got Russell.
The All Blacks won't be assuming anything until they can see 1 through 23 on players' backs, and even then they might have some questions. But I think the coaches these days,
So you reckon
particularly,
this is a bluff, the selection now?
well, look, it may be. You just never know with Russie, do you? I think
Injuries happen, right? Yeah.
Injuries
they
happen.
do. And the physicality of the South Africans, you're not going to just go and warm up like guys like me, are you? You're going to smash one another. So, it's always a risk. But I think these days coaches work from the end of the game backwards, particularly I think South Africa. They were, who do we want finishing the game? And work backwards from there. So, Russie will have a plan. Russie and Jacques will have a plan. They'll know what they're working to and they'll have, covered in their heads all options that we don't get to see during the week with training. Agree with your points. It's tough to ask Cheslin Colby to jump into there. And he's not best used at halfback anyway. You want a guy of his talents on the wing. But there'll be a plan. And like I say, they'll be working backwards. Even bringing Eben Etzebeth off last week, which personally, not being any locking expert, I thought was a mistake because while RG Snyman's bigger, he doesn't quite have the same mongrel effect as Etzebeth, which you need. But gee, when he came
his
on,
impact
in the
immense.
scrum as well, that scrum, I know Oxenche got the lion's share of the plaudits for that, but, big Snyman as well in there, and in the try and everything
Scrumming
like that,
expert.
mate. Oh, yes,
Scrumming expert.
Well, the poor old locks, they get forgotten. It's all about the front row.
It makes sense also.
Never the locks.
Oxenchair, have you ever seen a Lucet turn a game like that though? I mean, it's unheard of.
The biggest turning point was there, like if Faz kicked that thing through and Kurtley Aronson knocked it in our 22, game's dead and buried, They get that scrum,
Whatever.
they get 3 points, game's gone.
Yeah.
We're not chasing that down. We get that turnover on the 5 meter in the right-hand corner, our defensive right-hand corner. And from there, we could build on stuff off the back of that. And obviously, every scrum then pretty much turned into a penalty for us. So, I mean, his impact was immense. But it's every time Dion Fourie, Kwagga Smith, RG Snyman comes on, the energy they bring. It's a step up in tempo. And it's been incredible. And it's something to do that, right? We've all been picked on the bench and you come on and you chase the game. It's bloody hard to keep that energy going. And sometimes you overchase, and we sort of saw that in the quarterfinal where Faf and Andre came off the bench. It took them a while to sort of get into that rhythm. Those guys have been incredible for me this World Cup.
Marshy, I'm going to ask you guys all the same question. If you could pick a player from the opposition team, so from the Springboks, into your team, who would it be and why?
Exactly the man you just spoke about, Kwagga Smith. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
I understand why he doesn't start. I get it because of the balance of that back row. But the impact that he has on a game, the work that he does around the breakdown, and particularly defensively, it's kind of what the All Blacks really need. We've never sort of really got that balance right. You alluded to it, Mertz, and you're right, that the back row is now working better together. That they're working more as a trio. But since Kieran Reid retired, we've been stuck at having to put Ardie Savea at number 8. And we lose certain aspects of line out, scrum, etc. by doing that. But I've never seen anyone dominate Kwagga Smith. Like, honestly, I just think he would slot in as an open side into our balance, along with someone like Frizzell and Savea, and that would be a pretty impressive loose forward trio.
So you're dropping the captain for the final?
Yeah. What?
No.
Have you just dropped the captain for the final?
How did he get
Who did you choose, Scala?
It's always.
When's this going out on Monday, hopefully?
It's always
After the final.
It's always so tricky, this one for me. But if I've got to pick the guy who made the biggest impact in the All Black side this year, it would be Shannon Frizzell. For so long you try and cover a great player like Kieran Reid's move. You moved Ardie Savea, who's doing a good job at number 8, but then you didn't have like a Jerome Kano just carrying it through the guts. And you were looking for who's going to be that player to actually get them over the gain line. And Frizzell, I mean, his game at Mount Smart, that first 20 minutes is as good as any blow outside flanker can go. So he's the one player for me that's pivotal to the All Blacks, not only for them, but like
you'd pick him in your team, though.
He would seamlessly fit into the South African setup, come around the corner, dent the line, and then he's got the soft touches post-contact to get the little offloads.
It's a question that's fraught with danger, isn't it? Because nobody wants to say, I'd put this bloke in ahead of our guy, you know?
I know, that's why I didn't mention a single South African.
I'm going to go for
It's not ahead of anyone else. Just
I'll go for a bit of a cop-out here. I'd take one of the bomb squad. You know, we've seen Kitsoff and Malherbe either starting or coming on. We see, obviously, the effect of Nche last week. I'd maybe take a Kitsoff somewhere. It's not to say over the All Black props or whatever that I think were particularly weak there. I love Kitsoff. I think he's fantastic. I mean, he took that line-out take. That was a slippery ball, clearly. But he took that line-out take.
Straight off Jamie George.
But he's everywhere around. He's visible, you know, he's making tackles. He's making those crucial tackles to not allow that initial go forward that can bring some momentum to the back line. So, and the work rate and you know, part of the scrum, obviously. So, one of the bomb squad, and I reckon Kitsoff's just the most visible to me for obvious reasons.
Complexion, hey?
JDV?
Well, they're all going forward.
You can't.
So
okay.
I'll go backline player. I mean, I'll go Will Jordan purely because of his try-scoring ability. Curtly Arendse are also pretty impressive. What's he on? I think he's also 14 from 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Will Jordan are 31 in 30 games, I think it is.
Yeah, what position?
That's
so probably
fullback.
maybe fullback. Yeah. You know, maybe
You've
starting
been
at
calling to play fullback for a long time, Marshy.
Yeah, just hell of a player.
It was his formative position when he went through Christchurch Boys High. He was a fantastic fullback, and he's had the speed to be able to get put on the wing so that they could have everyone in the lineup. But you know, these days wingers obviously have to cover fullback a lot at the back and be part of that back three. But he's always had an amazing sense of timing. Well, sorry to sort of hijack your selection. No, you go for it.
So, Jordan, John, usually you ask him
I'm going to the bathroom quickly. I'll be back.
I get very passionate about former students of Christchurch Boys High School.
I'm going to take his seat because it's much more comfortable. Yeah.
Too slow.
Tell me Mark Tillier, guys. Let's talk about Mark Tillier.
Before
and
we
where
get to
he's come from.
Shimmy, it's an interesting debate, though. I mean, if you had to select a team between South Africa and New Zealand, hell of a team that would be.
Yeah,
right?
would be.
Yeah.
Should we do it?
No, we're not going to do it. Not going to
Mark
do it.
Moshi, I mean, should be one of the breakout players of the year.
Yeah. No, like I think he impresses everybody with his ability to beat defenders. Like, unbelievable.
Just gets through the tackles.
Yeah.
Like beats 3-4 tackles.
But
every
you're kind of
time he
looking at
carries.
him thinking, how is he doing that?
He's not the biggest guy.
No.
I missed who we were talking about. Sorry, at the
Mark
start.
Tillier.
Oh, sorry, yes, of course.
Getting
that's
too long.
right.
Mark
Like,
Tillier.
Yeah.
He plays for the All Blacks.
What was the try that he scored? Was it in a pool match or was it
quarterfinal.
against Ireland? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the quarterfinal
yeah.
where he just shrugged off a few tackles. He does it consistently for the Blues. You always tend to think, oh, okay, Super Rugby, a little less intense. He won't be able to do that at international level, but he does. And there's something about him that they really like that keeps them ahead of guys like Caleb Clark, you know?
But even Leicester Fainga Anuku,
Yeah.
I mean, impressive in that game.
Yeah.
you know,
He's
in
also
that-
gone.
Yeah,
He's gone.
and
Toulon.
also.
Yeah. Another player that won't be there, but could possibly come back. He's only signed a 2-year deal. I think he's only 23, 24. So, but
And
yeah,
you can play centre also.
yeah.
Played centre a couple of times.
Yes, he has.
You've
yeah.
steered the conversation around to All Blacks. So let's get it back on the box. They are the favourites. Current world champions, current number one.
Yeah.
Let's get it back on the box.
No,
Now,
but
you
the All
guys.
Blacks have been really impressive.
We're underdogs.
You All Blacks have been fantastic.
We always go in underdogs in the final. We never favourites, boys. It's not a good fit for us. So we're going in underdogs big time. You always refer back to the semi-final performance. This one is so similar to 2019 against Wales, boys. You know, we were in studio doing it. Like, I've got no fingernails left. I had to have, on my Monday morning coffee, I had to have both hands on the wheel, 2 hands shaking still, and another cracker coming up this weekend.
And the All Blacks are impressive.
All Blacks are
semi-final.
fantastic.
All Blacks favourites,
I mean,
big time.
Against
they've just
Argentina,
hammered everyone
a
this
quality
whole World Cup. What a
Argentina
great
team, and
All
they
Blacks.
smashed it.
I thought Argentina played pretty poorly. I think
Yeah.
New Zealand will be disappointed. There's a lot to work on this week. You know how it goes.
Chaps, we've come to the end. Favourite moments of the World Cup so far? Anything? Off the field, on the field?
Careful.
Are
Be
you,
careful.
are you still banned from Uber? I just want to confirm.
Bolt is my new friend.
You still
No,
banned?
I can use the Uber bikes,
You
but I can't call an Uber.
you can't fit.
But favourite moment of the World Cup?
Oh,
Chaps?
sorry. I don't what.
My favourite one is the Namibian prop, boys, and we can't get it on national TV. What he said, we can just imagine this bloke worked to get in a World Cup. He's come off the farm playing against, I think it was the All Blacks. It's so hot, and the first time he gets on national TV, he probably says the worst Afrikaans swear words you can ever say. It was lovely. It was a thing of beauty.
I think I've enjoyed seeing the Chile playing their first World Cup. You know, and in their first 2 matches, I think they scored the first try. Portugal had their first win. Which
that
was
was a great moment.
massive moment. And you look at what it means to those people. And, you know, people say you don't want to have these big blowout scores, but these teams are just so delighted to be on the same field as the Springboks, playing against them and the All Blacks or France or Ireland. And to know that big team is putting all their effort into it, to be able to run up 60 or 70 points or whatever, that's a massive boost for these countries. These guys took us seriously. They prepared well. So seeing those countries has been fantastic. I like the fact we've got 24 teams in the next World Cup. You know, it brings in Canada and US. They may have qualified anyway, but it opens it up a bit more. I'm not sure 6 pools of 4 is the greatest idea, but I like the idea of expansion because seeing these sort of stories of Chile coming through I thought was fantastic.
We do run the risk of quality, though. You know, like we look at this World Cup, you know, there is mismatches that happen, and it's predominantly just, you know, a weaker side, like, say, Romania gets picked in a pool where, you know, it's South Africa, Ireland, Scotland. And for such, we're in Australia, and to be honest, rugby is not on the forefront there. It's not like it's in South Africa or here in France where the stadium's been sold out. There's a risk that if you have watered down competition, it takes a long time for the competition to have those marquee games, get those quarterfinals. I'm just worried that, you know, 8 weeks where the stadiums are empty for 3 of them or 4 of them, it's a risk that we take.
What's the solution then? What do you think?
Free tickets.
You want to grow the game also at the same time?
I think, Nick Ballard got fired as a Springbok coach because he blamed the ticket pricing.
ticket
But
prices, yep.
I think ticket pricing is a massive thing. The SA20 cricket competition that they're running in South Africa, you know, similar to the IPL, where they're getting that right in South Africa is the ticket pricing very affordable. You can take your family, you can go multiple times and still afford it.
You were one of the ambassadors there. You did the ad with them when you were dancing.
Yes.
He's
He's
like
trying to punt.
he's
He's
like
No,
Kev-
no, no, no.
He's
yeah,
like
in the middle of
Kev-
the
he's
Rugby
like-
World Cup, he's trying to punt his cricket
I'm saying we can take the learnings from other sporting
Gee,
codes,
okay,
apply
here we
that
go.
in rugby,
Okay.
and hopefully you have the same
But you were the
success.
ambassador, right?
No, I wasn't.
You were in the ad for them, right?
I
Guys,
was in the
while
ad,
we're
I
on
did
it, are we still in the running for a double here, boys? Yeah, win. Black Caps, Proteas, they're going well over in India.
Jeez, they're playing next weekend also, South
Play
Africa and New
Pakistan
Zealand.
next, I think.
Yeah. What was the question that I was answering?
Something about tickets and trying to promote the SAT 20.
If we get the
Which you're
ticket
an ambassador
pricing
for.
right in Australia, then hopefully more people go watch.
Marsha, your favorite moments? Nice to catch up with Gregan again.
Yes, good
Champ.
to catch up with all the champs.
Are you going to tell us the champ story?
Former, no, not
You have
today. I've had that energy sucked out of me by
Clarence Seedorf.
by that taxi driver, or Uber driver, whatever he was. So no, I've got no energy for that story. But
One day.
favourite moments, favourite moment of this World Cup is Australia getting knocked out in pool play. A bit like 2015 when England got knocked out in pool play as well. Really, really enjoyed that. And probably my worst moment that when I think about it is when at the restaurant that we were at Hoxton,
Yeah?
I got given the responsibility. Now, everybody knows how much South Africans love their meat, and in particular their steak. And we ordered this incredible T-bone between the four of us, and I took responsibility and I turned it into biltong. I'd asked for it to be medium well, because I had this theory that it cooks from the outside into the bone. And
So you gave
by
us
the time
lecture
you
for
get
about half an hour
Yeah,
after we'll just
yeah, and they were able to agree with me, and it came out, yes, you'd prefer to eat that jersey. It was horrific, wasn't it? So, yeah, that's the biggest apology I've got to make for.
We made up for it the next day.
I'm more concerned with you ordering a T-bone between four. I don't care how big it is. What sort of pride is there in having a quarter of a T-bone?
I think it was half a wildebeest. It was massive, wasn't it?
No, we ordered 2 T-bones between 4 of us.
So I
Was it?
butchered
It was
both
me,
of them.
John, Wardy. No, it was good though. Plans for the rest of the week, guys? What's the lead up to the final?
They're probably going to
I
take
know,
it easy.
John, you're going to make a lot of money as usual.
No.
Yes, you are. How many functions are you
A
doing?
banner and Mehrtens, yeah. That's
Harvesting. They're all harvesting.
Harvesting.
I'm coming in at the lower level, just mopping up the stuff that they won't
That
they won't turn up for.
We'll send Marshall there.
So you got the
Scala-
international dinner tonight, though, boys, haven't you?
Yeah, we got to get
Former
together
international
tonight.
Players dinner.
Yeah, we've got a nice little
Drinks.
dinner on tonight. Drinks. We've got to warm
Sponsored
up.
by some gin company or something.
The long lunch is in order, and we plug and play. We don't fail. So I think to the World Cup, Saturday obviously a long day for us. We're going to be nervous on Saturday, but then Sunday is a good opportunity as well. All of
World
us are
Rugby
going to the
Awards.
World Rugby Awards Sunday night.
Black tie, have you got just your suit yet?
No, I'm not that sort of jet shimmy, but
Surely, Marsha, you can just go as you are, don't you?
Do you go for a highlight session before then again? Or do you,
The highlights
it's
package.
very always difficult in France.
Yeah.
With the language barrier, I'd
Yeah.
probably have to take Monsieur Mehrtens with me.
Oh, yeah.
oui, oui.
You can
Yeah.
see how much time I spend in the hairdresser.
just the grey coming through there.
Yeah, it's just only in one patch though. It's got still got that mousy little mushroom that you saw in
Yeah, it's like a little
95.
bit. Yeah, you've lost the kits off look for sure.
Grows out.
Scala, you go home Tuesday.
That's right.
Mert, you're Parisian, so you're staying here. JDV, same flight as him.
Hey.
Marshy, the one-man tour continues.
Does.
Mark's
I don't go.
staying for the Olympics.
Why you arrived in
Roland
August?
Garros Olympics. He's going to watch football. Wait, what are you moving on? How long have you been away from home for?
I don't know.
I've been away from home since the 23rd of August,
2019.
and I'm not due back until the 10th of December.
Why? Why?
Family's coming over.
Oh.
Family holiday.
But you're going to Spain also and Amsterdam?
Yeah, yeah.
You've been to
Amsterdam.
Ibiza, you were at Nice.
Went to
You
the
went
Ryder Cup.
Twickenham.
Amalfi Coast, Rome, boat trip.
Out to the airport this morning.
Yeah.
On the way here.
Give me something on that. It's been amazing, and plenty of good times still to come. Yeah.
Survival at this stage of the tournament's
Yeah.
the key, isn't it? Just survival.
Yeah, well, that's
you know,
what
it's
we're
been a
talking about.
wonderful 6 months that we've all spent over
Yeah.
here.
Well, that's why Schalk and I had a bit of a gap. You
Yeah.
know, we went to recover 2 weeks at home.
We the long lunch equivalent of the bomb squad.
Yeah, they are,
That's
you guys
exactly
are the
what
best
we
of
are.
this week.
Thank
Which
goodness
one-
it only
which is
comes
a
around
worrying
every
thought.
4 years, eh?
It
Although
is.
they're starting to talk about this other one that's in the middle. Far out. I don't know if we'll be putting our
Has
hands
anyone
up.
found
for
Victor Matfield yet? How's he coping?
No, not well. The great Carly.
He's not looking great.
Great Carly.
He looked more like the great Carly this morning at breakfast than he did
Yeah.
like Victor Matfield.
Is it?
Shimmy, what's been your highlight?
Remember when you played Russian roulette and you had to pay for dinner?
That
Paul Jean de Villiers'
was a
card
great
out.
moment.
Best moment. And then watching him suffer the next day, head down, anxiety, because he's basically blown his budget on the stakes in Bordeaux.
I love it when the man with the Russian roulette idea has to pay.
Yeah.
Guys,
It was got the guy the guy who reads Braille to draw out the card. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
run the little thumb along.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Matthew
That
Pierce.
was the highlight. Matthew ran away.
Yeah, Matthew drew the cards. So
Yeah.
that was, I mean, but it was my pleasure to be able to buy you guys dinner.
Doesn't sound like it.
I love this.
The anxiety,
It's
they
money
head down the
well-
next day. They head
It's
down.
money well spent.
I've been booking every single Uber since. He's bailed out booking Ubers, this fella.
That's an absolute lie, you know. I'm paying for the Ubers and you're not even on Uber.
No ribs involved either.
Yeah.
No ribs this
We didn't
time.
have the steak.
Look, also for me, I must say, the Springboks, I mean, this was on field. After beating France, the happiness there. When you saw the guys all together, the squad, and because we always do our stuff and behind the families are behind us, and all the guys going up to the families and stuff was actually quite a good highlight for me. Look how tight it is, how hard it is to get to that stage. It's probably similar to the All Blacks, you know, after beating Ireland. So
Best
All Blacks
quarterfinal.
are very good.
Best quarterfinal weekend ever at a World
Yeah.
Cup. Well, I don't
That's
think
gotta be a
ever-
highlight. We won't see that again.
We won't see that again. Those two games, well, all four games, you know, just the drama within all the games, the tightness, the closeness, Argentina scoring at the end.
The games were still on at minute 80.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And then the South African and New Zealand quarterfinals, I mean, that could have been World Cup finals in itself. You know, just the quality, the try scored, it was immense.
Gentlemen, all the best for this weekend. May the best team win.
Thanks,
I don't
Jim.
know if we can beat the All Blacks.
It's gonna
They've
be
been
fun.
looking so good.
We don't know.
They are looking good.
I'm going to wrap this up, Jean. We can sit here and talk all day, but we've got a long lunch to attend. So that's the final episode of this series. You guys let us know if you want the Boks Office to continue. We're busy talking to Freddie about continuing this show back in South Africa. Hopefully it all comes together. It's been fantastic out here in Paris. A massive weekend coming up. All Blacks against Springboks World Cup final. It's going to be fantastic. Good luck to everybody. Enjoy the weekend. The Boks Office is now closed.